Hey everyone, so today's video is actually going to be on the Queen of Speed, and that's Halia. So Halia was introduced a while back, and she's still extremely relevant in today's meta in PvP, and on top of that, she's used everywhere else in the game. So she is a great hero to invest in, not only on getting her to level 70 or to put Ascension pots in her, but also even to book her. As we've been talking in the past couple of videos, how rare, mastery books are, and you usually don't want to use it on supports, but Halia is one of the exceptions. So one of the formats that I want to do in these videos going forward is look at the Ascensions, Masteries, and Glyphs, because I think that is important for people who don't have them so they can maybe plan ahead. But here, you'll see, if you do all of her glyphs, she gets a nice amount of health and 31 speed, which is going to be important to her kit. So do reference that. On her Ascensions, she does need Ascension 5 for her trait. Her trait is good, and the Ascension is relevant, but I do not think you need to prioritize getting her to A5. It's not that big of a difference, even though it being relevant, it is something that I think other heroes benefit more from their trait getting upgraded. And then the last thing to mention is she does get her additional speed stats from Ascension 2. So that's why I have mine to Ascension 2. And her Ascension 1 is health, which is kind of nice for her because she's surprisingly tanky. So that's her Ascension. And then her Mastery trees. She does get speed, which is nice. We've talked about the different mastery trees here in the past couple of videos. Like we said, gear is always the same. And then her abilities are actually one of those unique heroes in the game, where only a handful have this. On this ability tree, she has these auras, where it increases the team's attack by 3% and their defense by 5%. So just by having her on the team, they get tankier and stronger. So really cool. Also, her ability level caps are really nice, and we'll get into that whenever we talk about her trait here. So, with that being said, let's just talk about her kit. So, her trait is Water Blessing. It grants a team-wide buff called Ocean Lights for 1 turn at the start of the turn, and then it's on a 3-round cooldown, where if it's ascended, it goes down to 2, and this is relevant because Ocean Lights increases the damage of your supporting heroes, as well as herself in Halia, but it's mainly used to increase the damage for the other people in your team. It says that the damage scales with the speed difference between the caster and the target. That means that if Halia is attacking somebody who's slow, her damage will be increased because she's really fast. All this is saying as well, the caster is the person who's making the move. So if someone else in your team is moving, it's determined by that character's speed, not Halia's, and the person that they're attacking. Little fun fact, this was bugged whenever they first released Halia, and it was always calculating her speed versus the enemy whenever, like, even a supporting character who was really slow would be attacking. So her damage was insane, like what she was able to help people with. So they did fix her, which is good. I mean, that was extremely broken, and she's still very, very good. So that is her trait. On her basic ability, she deals 100 damage and then grants the character with the highest attack in your team a speed up 2 buff. Now, this is that mastery that I was talking about from her ability tree. It grants speed up 2, which is 50 speed. It's pretty nuts. I think without the mastery, it's 30 speed, which is still relevant. This is a nice basic one if she's used up her other abilities and this is the only thing that she's doing. She's still speeding up somebody with the highest attack, which is really cool considering it pairs well with that Ocean Lights buff. And 2, it kind of helps you play around control effects. So if she's silenced or taunted and she has to use this basic, it's still a relevant basic ability. So very nice basic on her first attack. Now this special ability grants Ocean Lights to somebody, just like she does at the beginning of the turn with her trait, or if she's the fastest person on the field, this includes your opponent's team, she can grant someone a bonus turn. Now, I've seen a lot of people use this whenever she's not the fastest person on the field. Like, let's say she gets outspeed by another Halia, and they try and grant the bonus turn. It won't work. I think a lot of people haven't read that through enough. So do watch out for that. And if she has that ability tree, this is reduced down to a 2-turn cooldown, which is pretty nuts. These type of abilities are more common nowadays in the game, and especially in the meta for Arena. Granting bonus turns is really good for a couple reasons. The first one being it reduces the amount of time on, the control effects in the meta, like stuns or attack down, defense down, all of those things, silence, taunt. If you're able to grant that person an extra turn, maybe their next turn coming up, they can then use their ultimate ability, or they won't be stunned or anything like that. So it's relevant for that reason. And then also there's plenty of heroes in the meta that do a lot of damage, but they're very slow. And this allows you to take your fastest person on the field and then immediately jump into that hero that's slow but has huge attack and allows you to just wipe out your opponent's team. So really relevant there. It is somewhat, and I say that with a lot of pronunciation, and I'm enunciating that hard because it's somewhat is countered by Jabez, but there are ways around this to work in your favor if your opponent has Jabez, and I'll try my best to show that in an arena match. So really good second attack there, and then her ultimate ability does 150% damage to everyone, and then grants a stack of speed up to the whole team, so meaning it stays there and it's not removed, and then you can add additional stacks. It says max 3 here. So that's added to your team, and then it inflicts a stack of speed down on all non-boss enemies if this character has the highest speed. So it doesn't say on the field here like it does on her attack 2, but it's definitely on the field because I've seen this speed down not land, and I'm pretty sure it's because she wasn't the fastest person on the field. I'm still unsure if this speed down stack needs focus. I don't know if it does. I've been back and forth on it, but if anyone knows for sure in the comments, let me know. But definitely take in mind that she needs to be the fastest person on the field for this to apply with or without the focus. So really nice kit, right? I mean, speeding up your entire team is great on its own, but on top of that, her Ocean Lights buff increases their damage based on the difference of speed from your teammates versus the enemy. So really cool there, granting that bonus turn and then a relevant buff on one of your heroes with the highest attack on the basic. So cool kit. I think you can see why she's very relevant. Most battles in RTA or an arena, if you're going first, you're winning. So yeah, these are her stats. Like I said, she's surprisingly tanky. Like, I wasn't trying too hard to get her health or defense high, but 27,000 health and 2,000 defense is pretty good. She is fairly fast, 345, but this is slower, on the slower side for Halia's, but I'll explain this in a second. And then her focus and resistance down here, I'd like this to be switched, but the resistance necklace that I have has the most speed on it. So I prioritize speed over focus, but if I ever get a focus necklace, I'm going to put that on her to keep the speed here and then increase her focus. The focus isn't super relevant in RTA, but it is important for normal arena because you can use those spells. You get a choice of 2 spells, and the focus matters on landing that. So I will say that. Now, to explain the speed, I'm fine with this speed for a couple of reasons. The first one being I have other gear pieces that would allow her to be faster, but I have a bunch of heroes that need to be fast for RTA. So I found this speed fast enough to outspeed other fast threats like Garnet or Aubrey or Alicia, Ashland's, heroes like that, where she's fast enough to outspeed them, but she won't outspeed other Halias, and this doesn't matter to me in RTA, because if someone picks Halia, I can't pick my own, so that doesn't matter. And then in normal arena, there's plenty of ways to counter a Halia in defense, so I don't care about outspeeding other Halias. So that's why her speed is that way. And then just to show you the gear real quick, so this piece has the chance to get her more speed. It's got 16 speed, but it's only plus 12. She's got speed boots with focus and health. She's got a health percentage ring, which is nice. Only 12 speed, but like I said, the speed's fine. And the fact that the ring is health percentage with a nice defense roll, this is like a perfect ring for Halia. Here's that resistance necklace that I was telling you about with 16 speed. It also doesn't have any ores on it, so I can get her a little faster there, but I haven't needed it. And then here, I've got some health and focus on this helmet. You can't get speed as substats on the helmet and the chest piece, but thankfully, I did get a Swift Fabled roll on this, because this is not a really good piece, but it does have 6 speed on it, so that's the gear for her. All right, so a couple things here. The first one, like I said, she's used basically everywhere in the game. She is fantastic for mid-game players in Void Tower Hard. A lot of times you need to do enough damage in Void Tower Hard, but it's hard to do that with your heroes being fast enough as well. So with Halia in your team, you're able to increase the speed of your entire team from wave to wave. Remember, because her speed buff from her ultimate is a stack, so it doesn't go away, which is amazing for PvE content. This will go in to the next wave, so keeps your hero's speed high. So really great in dungeons, in Void Tower Hard for mid-game players. And then also, she's really relevant in the 2 dungeons that we've talked about in a bunch of other videos as well, which is Ash Magisteria and Witch of the Wind. She's really great in Witch, because Witch of the Wind has high speed requirements. And if you look at these teams, a lot of them use Nathalia, who's a great damage dealer in those teams. But the problem is Nathalia usually needs to hit specific damage requirements, and it's hard to do that, again, with such high speeds. So, this third most used team here uses Halia most likely to speed up that Nathalia. And then in Ash, she's not as relevant in 16, but she is used in a couple teams, so really great there. All right, so now to get into Arena. Her main use is obviously if your opponent has other fast heroes as well, right? She's in there to allow the rest of your team to outspeed your other heroes' teams. Your other enemies' heroes. I said that backwards. That's her main use. Now, as you can see, just in these defenses right here, there's a lot of Aureas, right? There's Aureas here to counter. There's Corrupt Orax in there to counter Halia, so she doesn't get that done. Teams like this, like if this person's team was quick, like an extremely fast Mary, and he has enough threats that are fast enough, this is where I would S3 with Halia to make sure my entire team goes before them. But seeing teams like this, I'm guessing they're not very fast. So I will show one application here with Jabez, right? So I did tell you that Jabez counters Halia's S2, kind of. It's important to say that because there are heroes in the game like Halia, right? So Halia has this ultimate ability that scales with the amount of team damage taken this round. So based on how much damage your team was dealt, this ultimate will hit a lot harder. So this character is unbooked. She's in a stun set. She doesn't have very high damage. But if she were to be level 70, maybe a little bit more damage, or even booked, I'm going to get this point across, okay? So I'll bring in Nero just in case, their Halia is quicker. And then I'll bring in someone like, like Alicia to clean up Baron or whatever. I could just bring in Ashlyn to stun people. Okay, so watch this. This is why I said Jabez is kind of good against her. So normally, right, Jabez has that ability where if anybody grants a bonus turn, he counterattacks with his ultimate ability. So if I were to use Halia's attack 2 on Ashlyn or something like that, that wouldn't be a good thing because Jabez will most likely kill Ashlyn. But because Halia here, on her passive, whenever she takes massive damage, she grants herself invincible. So this is very similar to Light Nick, which is right here. He grants that death immunity whenever he takes lethal damage. And then his dark version, Dark Nick, which is the greatest kind of combo here with Halia whenever Jabez is on a different team. So I'll show you here. So Halia is going to use her attack 2 to not only grant Halia an extra turn, so she's the slowest in the team. This allows somebody who has high damage to jump in front of everyone else that's faster than them, right? And so there's the counterattack. It's going to increase the damage of her ultimate ability. So then she goes and then she nukes, right? So she almost killed that Jabez there. And now our Ashlyn can just stun that Baron to make sure we don't die. And then Nero comes in and nukes. So that's kind of a cool little counter to Jabez, is if you have heroes like that, you can you can use Jabez against them. So kind of neat little trick there. And we'll just we'll finish this out and we'll move on. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So there's one application for Halia. And then the other one that I want to show you is kind of a nice pairing with her, which is Light Nick. So as I mentioned, right, there's a lot of counters in the meta for Halia. So here's a Baron, a Aurea, which if I brought in this team, Halia would be the one who's taunted. But if you have someone like Light Nick will jump in front of Halia, take the taunt, and then will allow Halia to use her ultimate ability. So we'll show that in action. So right here, you're going to see that Aurea throws up this taunt on Nick, right? And now my Halia is allowed to go, and even though this Halia is faster than Ashlyn, because of this ultimate ability here, you're going to see that Ashlyn's going to get to jump in front. So yeah. Oh, and I actually just noticed something. So I don't know if this is a bug or not, but for some reason, Halia landed the defense down. I mean, the speed down on people, even though she wasn't the fastest on the field, and Light Nick was. So, yeah, I don't know if that was a bug. But anyway, so Ashlyn, got to go in front of Halia, so now she can, switch and do her fancy nuke and all that stuff. So yeah, that's another application. We might lose here. So they're See right there? There, Holly is doing bonus turns and stuff like that. But the whole point of this showcase was to just show the ability to increase the speed of the rest of your team, as well as eating the Aurea taunt with nice key heroes in your team, like Lightnick. And then I think the only other application that is nice for Halia is the fact that she does, throw up those negative effects. So you can pair her to trigger Shark Soul Andre if you have like a Jabez in your team, right? Because the nice thing is she also boosts the attack of Jabez whenever she boosts her and Jabez's speed. So you have a really tanky Shark Soul Andre there, right? But you increase the speed of Jabez with his Ocean Lights, which gives him the ability to come in. Oh. Okay. Hey, I was kidding. Don't stun. Okay. We still got it. Thankfully. Is this going to work? I don't know if it works. Oh, man, look at this. I'm embarrassed. Anyway, you get the point. She triggers. She could trigger Shark Soul Andre, so Jabez counters. That was a tanky Shark Soul Andre. Anyway, so that's kind of the guide on Halia here, guys. If you have her, I hope you're utilizing her, and if you don't have her, man, I hope you pull her soon, because she's a great hero, and she'll really help your account progress. So, yeah, that's all I got for you today, guys. I'll catch you later.